towards paddock and up towards grid.
Well, hello everybody, it's Suffolk Andy here, outside Ipswich Town football ground. As you can see, it hangs over the road. Quite an impressive stand, this one, I suppose. A few years old now. Anyway, I sat down this morning and I was going through the internet. I don't know how much room this friggin' bus wants. I was going through the internet and I was reading an article on Visor Down. And it was about Lorenzo, the GP rider, young man. And the other day, Monster Energy released a video on YouTube, and it was supposed to have been done in a crep style. I've no idea what that is. I'm showing my friggin' age. A crip style, and it was on for a day or so, and it had to be taken off because there was so many complaints about it from the Spanish press. And Dorma, who actually runs MotoGP and World Superbike, and some of the comments and the criticisms from the Spanish press was that in a time of austerity in Spain, where they're really struggling with 25% unemployment, he was showing too much wealth. And Dorma didn't like it because he had some bikini-clad young ladies on the terrace in a jacuzzi, and they thought that was degrading to women. So he had to take it off. Hey, yeah. Where was I? Yeah, they complained and said there was too many. There was these ladies in bikinis, or young girls in bikinis in a jacuzzi, and the Spanish press said showing too much wealth. Well, he had to take it off, but he actually did say he was sorry about showing the young ladies in the jacuzzi, but he wasn't sorry about the rest. And I was reading some of the comments, what he put down and what other people put down, and I totally agree with him. Now, if you go back to the ladies in the bikinis, think of Dorma, who runs MotoGP and World Superbikes. What do you get on every single race before you start? Young girls holding brollies, friggin' hardly anything on, showing as much tit as they can, and all staying there with camel toes. So what's that all about? Why are they getting wrong with that guy? Because he's got a couple of girls in bikinis and a jacuzzi. What are they supposed to be wearing? A friggin' frog suit? For God's sake. You know? Bloody ridiculous. So I don't know where they're coming from. If you go on their site, you see these parts of the site are just pictures of the brolly girls. They're every bloody where. So that's just stupid. But the other thing he said about his lifestyle, well, he came from a very, very ordinary background. He wasn't a rich kid, he was just a normal kid. And he's worked his way up through friggin' many, many years to get him where he is. And he races with the best. He's learnt to race with the best, and he is one of the best. Well, he's been world bloody champion. Yeah, he'd worked hard. He'd raced with the best in the world. You know, he'd had many, many injuries. You take last year when he broke his collarbone, and within 24 hours he was back on a bike racing. There ain't many of us could have done it. You know, so I take my hat off to the boy. It wasn't meant to rub the noses of people in Spain. And like he says, he hasn't got anything else he can spend his money on. Well done, son. You know, that's what I think. Bloody good guy. And you know, at one time I couldn't abide the guy. You know, a couple of 3 years ago, I couldn't stand him. I thought he was a horrible little shit. And you know, I love me motorbike racing. You know, and I don't think, you know, before Simoncelli was killed, he used to treat the guy like he was a maggot. But I think he learnt his lesson after the guy was killed, Simoncelli. He completely changed, and I think he realised where he was coming from. And I take my hat off to him. He ain't rubbing anybody's faces in it. Wasn't him doing it. It was Monster asked to do it, and he done it. I wish I could have seen the video, but I couldn't because that was taken off. But somebody put in there that in America, and you American boys and girls will tell me if I'm right, that 97% of the Americans only have 1% of the money. And 1% have 97% of your money in America. That's horrendous. That's a small proportion of people with all the money. And I bet if you looked into our statistics here, it wouldn't be no different. All around the world, 1% has got 97% of all the money that's around. Well, how much money do you need? You know, how much money does one person need to make their lives better? Most of us people, working class people, working folk, we just like a nice house for our families. We like a nice car, and if we're lucky we can get a bike, a nice holiday a year, work hard, keep ourselves warm and clothed, and we're happy. We'd all like a little bit more money, but you know, you got to work for it. So this 1%, I feel, are taking a piss. Anyway, how much money do you need? I thought about it. I thought, how many yachts can you have? How many Leo jets can you have? How much caviar can you stuff down your gob? You know, how many holidays do you need? There must come a point where you don't need it. So why don't this 1% who've got all these, you know, millions, and I'm not talking about millions, I'm talking about billions, why don't they use it to good causes? You know, there's so many people struggling in the world, and I'm going on a bit of a rant here, aren't I think? There's so many people struggling in this world, and I mean really struggling. Use your money, help them out, get them started, get things going for them, make their lives a little bit more bloody good, you know, because I'll tell you what, at the end of the day, when you're up that bloody cemetery with them, you might be in a posher bit of ground, but it ain't going to do you any good whatsoever, because I'll tell you what, there's no pockets in shrouds, and that's true, there's no pockets in shrouds. They ain't no good to you. So that's just how I feel at the moment. I think I'm just having I read that thing and I thought, you know, the guy has done so bloody well, you know, and I've got no problem with that at all, you know. I like to see people get on. If you've trained and you put your life at risk and everything else, you got to the top of your tree, deserve everything you deserve. Because I tell you what, how many of us wouldn't change places just for an hour, just for a minute even, to be on that bloody GP bike going around them corners like he does? We'd all jump at it, wouldn't we, and live that dream. But that ain't ever going to happen because we ain't bloody good enough. It never will. It's not like he was... somebody said, oh, you can ride a bike, mate, very well. There you go, there's a GP bike. Just doesn't happen. He had to work his way up, year by year, to get where he was. And that must be hard for him because being Spanish as well, the Spanish press, the Spanish media have pulled him apart. And I know that he is Spanish through and through. He loves his country. But I'll tell you what, if I was a billionaire like most of these 1% are, I feel ashamed. I really would. I'd be so ashamed to think that I had all this money and I wasn't doing anything with it, you know. But somebody did say to me, and I couldn't sort of disagree with them really, that isn't it better to be miserable eating a piece of steak than it is to be miserable eating a bit of scrag end? But anyway, that's my little story today. Probably not a lot, but I'm now going to go for a little ride. I think I've got a little bit of time. Anyway, that's enough from me. Suffolk Andy.